The conditions that forced Indo-Chinese refugees to flee were extremely dire. After the Vietnam War, many South Vietnamese who supported the Americans feared punishment when Saigon fell in 1975. Similar crises unfolded in Laos and Cambodia, where new communist regimes took control, leading to persecution, civil wars, and violence. Because of this, thousands of people had no choice but to escape. Their journey were incredibly dangerous, overcrowded boats, storms at sea, and lack of food and water.
The Philippines became a major destination and transit point for these refugees, even though the country was not yet part of the 1951 UN Refugee Convention. The Philippine government, under President Ferdinand Marcos, decided to extend temporary asylum on humanitarian grounds. Because of our location in Southeast Asia, many refugees landed on our shores or arrived at US military bases like Clark and Subic. The policy at the time was somewhat ad hoc and influenced by politics, but the Philippines still acted as a country of first asylum, temporarily hosting refugees until they could be resettled elsewhere. Camps such as the Philippine Refugee Processing Center in Bataan and facilities in Palawan provided initial shelter and services.
Refugees faced many challenges during their journey and upon arrival. They encountered safety risks like storms and pirate attacks at sea while fleeing in overcrowded boats. On land, they faced displacement, trauma, and uncertainty about their legal status and resettlement prospects. Refugees also navigated the complexities of government policies that were sometimes inconsistent or political influence. Many refugees experienced exploitation and trauma from their prolonged displacement, while humanitarian organizations and the UNHCR provided vital support to alleviate some hardships.
To address these challenges, multiple groups worked together. The Philippine Coast Guard and Bureau of Immigration conducted initial screenings and health checks. The UNHCR assessed refugee status and helped arrange resettlement. The Department of Social Welfare and Development provided food, medical aid, and basic support. Local governments offered housing and healthcare, while NGOs and community groups facilitated education and integration programs. Through these collective efforts, refugees were able to slowly rebuild their lives. What stands out most, however, is the resilience and humanity shown by the refugees themselves. In camps like those in Morong, Bataan, they attended English and vocational classes, organized schools for children, and continued practicing their cultural traditions.
Their presence also enriched Filipino culture. Indo-Chinese refugees introduced dishes like pho, banh mi, spring rolls, and Vietnamese coffee, food still enjoyed today. They celebrated festivals such as Tet, the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, with dragon dances, games, and shared meals with Filipino neighbors. Religious practices, language exchange, and daily interactions created meaningful cultural ties that live on the places like Vietville in Palawan.
In addition, refugees brought their religious practices, including Catholic traditions for Vietnamese Catholics and Buddhism, which Filipinos could observe and sometimes participate in. Everyday life also allowed language exchange, with Filipinos learning simple Vietnamese greetings and refugees speaking up Tagalog and English. Communities like Vietville in Palawan show how these cultural exchanges become part of daily Filipino life, from food and shops to celebrations and religious practices.
Forced migration is never voluntary, as refugees flee war, persecution, and threats to their safety, showing that human security includes not only physical protection but also dignity and access to basic needs. The Philippines' acceptance of Indo-Chinese refugees demonstrated that even a developing country can provide shelter, education, and pathways for rebuilding lives, as seen in communities like Vietville.
Learning about Indo-Chinese refugees in the Philippines made us realize that refugees are not just people in need. They are resilient, skilled, and capable of enriching society. The foods festival and daily cultural interactions they shared show that they bring value beyond survival. Seeing how they integrated into communities, celebrated, and shared dishes like pho and bami with locals made us appreciate the cultural and human contributions refugees can offer. It also showed us that welcoming refugees requires compassion and solidarity, not wealth, and a society that can benefit greatly when they are included and respected.